Hey everyone, I'm Aaron. I'm bringing 3 to the dish. That's Adam. He's setting all 3 of them down. That's what we're talking about today. You're in the midst of a baseball brewhaha, which means we're bringing a cup of coffee and daily baseball trivia fracas. We're getting after it again today. Adam, what are we talking about today even?
We're talking about short games. We got the new rules. We got the pitch clock. Games are running much shorter than usual. But since 1998, only games that went a full 9 innings all the way through the bottom of the ninth took less than 2 hours. None in 2023, in fact. Only eight in the last 25 years. How many runs were scored via home run? So thinking that a home run takes less time than working around the bases. So
yeah, indeed.
That's what we're thinking about. And so this is inspired by some games that have taken less than 2 hours. So Sandy Alcantara's less than 2 hour gem from the 3-0 take. The baseballer talking about the Red Sox Angels games, and you got some thoughts from the big catcher from the Sandlot about this as well.
It's gonna be a short game, and I gotta get home for lunch.
Yeah, we're trying to be efficient here today with everybody. So we're looking at a question about short games. Okay, so in these short games, there were 25 runs scored. How many runs were scored via home run? Less than 40%, 50% or more, 60% or more, 75% or more, or 90% or more.
Okay. I'm thinking it's a lot, but not a ton. I'm going to go 50% here.
Okay. And I went all the way to 75%. I'm really thinking that to move this quickly through these games, boom, 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 you got to score runs fast, and a home run does that quick. Yep. So I went with that. So here we go. Go to the notes. We are at less than 40% of these runs scored via home run.
That's surprising. I mean, it's baseball, so it shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah. 9 out of 25 runs. It was the most common way to score still.
The single most common, but
single most common. The next being a single, not to be confusing there. Scoring on a single is second after the home run.
Yes, indeed.
So, we're going to dive right into, so how does a fast game happen? And from the pitching side, a lot of it's on the pitching side. So first you got to pitch deep. Nothing slows a game down like going to the bullpen. So starters got to go deep. In these games, the average start was 8.1 innings, 8 1/3. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Half of these starts were complete games, and the two shortest games, 107 minutes and 114 minutes, were dueling complete games.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I went a layer deeper here. I went a little pre-1998. I want to look at who threw a complete game in the fewest number of pitches ever. That happened in 1944. Red Barrett, pitching for the Boston Braves against the Cincinnati Reds, threw a complete game, won 2-0 through 58 pitches.
What?
58 pitches, took an hour and 15 minutes for a full 9-inning game all the way through. So, pretty remarkable here, folks. I'm gonna have some more Red Barrett stats here in the next segment here.
Yeah, and there's some very, very short games way back then. Games we didn't even start. Regular season games weren't televised until 1953. So if you want some real quick games, you can look back that far. So the other key here for pitchers is limiting runners on base. Because if you got traffic, you're working guys around the bases, takes time. Holding runners on, all of that. So you have very few runners on base. However, only one of these games did pitchers face the minimum. The minimum being, of course, 27 batters.
Yep.
the average plate appearances per team was just under 32. So there's not many guys going to the plate. Losing teams had only 4 extra base hits in these games, but grounded into 11 double plays. That'll speed up the game.
Sure will. Yeah, I went back looking again at this limiting runners as kind of anecdotal here. Going back to that Red Barrett game, it's just fun looking up all these stats from this game. But he faced 29 batters. He gave up just 2 hits, no walks, no strikeouts, no errors. He averaged 2 pitches per batter.
He's attacking the strike zone. Right there.
0 strikeouts. I mean, you want to talk about that adds to the efficiency because, 2 pitches per batter. I mean, you got to throw at least 3 to get a strikeout.
Yeah. Striking players out is not an efficient way to get outs.
No, it's cool, but it's not efficient.
It is. Yeah. So we were looking at games that were under 2 hours that went the full 9. But let's think about the extremes on both ends. Shortest games, longest games. So the shortest full 9-inning game ever played all the way through the bottom of the 9th. 1919, Brooklyn defeated Cincinnati in a brisk 55 minutes.
And for those out there who might be stat checking us, there is a shorter game, went 51 minutes, but that only went 8.5. Didn't go.
Yeah. So tell us what's the longest full 9-inning game here.
Sorry, I'm taking a nap over here. Don't worry about me.
You fell asleep during this next game.
I did because it was a Yankees-Red Sox game, which I get tired of them taking 7 hours for one game. But the longest one, 2006, the Yankees beat the Red Sox 14-11 in a brisk 4 hours and 45 minutes. That was game 2 of a doubleheader, which lasted 3 hours and 55 minutes. Yankees won both games, almost 9 hours of total baseball, and 2 losses for the Red Sox.
Yeah, at home, no less.
Yeah, at home. Mm-hmm.
The shortest game ever, period, was a 1904 game, part of a doubleheader, 5-inning game. Philadelphia A's beat the Cleveland Naps 4-0. There's no time for a nap in this game.
No.
See that 35 minutes was the game length there.
35 minutes. Wow. I want to know how those runs scored, because even in 5 innings, that's quite brisk. We're clipping along. The longest game ever, 1984, Chicago White Sox beat Milwaukee Brewers 7-6 in 25 innings in a sleepy 8 hours and 6 minutes, with both teams scoring 3 runs in the 21st inning. And mind you, this is before the advent of the ghost runner on second base, well before. Yeah. So, it's ridiculous. The baseball has all this wonky stuff in it, and here we go again.
Yeah, there's got to be some kind of story behind that one. And, speaking of stories, it's story time. And we got to bring the funk before we... So let's dive right into story time here. Whoa! Our story time music keeps bringing the funk. Reel it in. So, for story time, I'm going to opine a little bit on our pitch clock, because the games are shorter in general. But some people are thinking, I love the pace. I don't want it to speed up. I like the leisurely pace. But these 8 games that we're talking about today, these fastest games ever, none of them were 2023 games. Mm-hmm. So we're still getting some good baseball.
Yeah.
And the pitch clock just moves it along a little bit, and we avoid these 5-hour 14-11 games, because even the games that are going a bit longer are just at really what the average was last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 hours or so. Yeah, so this is interesting because for me, when they introduced this in the minor leagues, it's working its way to the major leagues, and then it got introduced. Boom, it's going to arrive this year. I was like, man, I don't know if I really want a pitch clock. It's baseball. It doesn't. One of the luring things about it is that there's no clock, and for me, watching baseball over the last say 10 to 20 years or so, it it I still love the game. I'm always going to love the game no matter what. But there are some times where it's just like it's unwatchable. Gets unwatchable. And I remember a couple of stories here. I remember Joanna and I had my wife and I had a opportunity to go to a college baseball game in Pullman, Washington. We watched the Oregon Ducks play Washington State Cougars, the last game of the season, and both of them were out of the playoffs. Okay. So just to understand the context here, this is different if they're playing for a spot in the playoffs. They're both out, and the game took almost 5 hours. I mean, there were a lot of runs scored, but it was like every pitch was like bottom of the ninth, game 7 of the World Series, and you're just like, this has to stop. Like, this is unbelievable for a college baseball game. And then last year, you and I went to a White Sox Rockies game in Denver, and the first game moved, or the first half of the game, about 5.5 innings, moved along at a fairly normal pace. We got to the bullpens, and it came to a screeching halt. It was unwatchable. It's just in between every pitch felt like it was almost a minute in between every single pitch. And that to me was sort of like sealed the deal for me, where it was like we've got to have a pitch clock. And it's not perfect. I love it maybe to be a couple seconds longer, sure, whatever. But it just became unwatchable to me. So I'm on my little rant soapbox here, but I love the pitch clock. Watching the games on TV, it doesn't feel really much different to me. The pace is really good. I love it. So
yeah, and that game that we went to in Colorado, we had 6 kids in tow.
Yeah.
All under the age of 9. So to keep families engaged, you want the kids to be engaged. So the pitch clock has been a good addition.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, folks, that's going to do it for us today. A special thanks to Stathead, the Baseballer, and the 3-0 Take. If you got a burning question, drop it below in the comments. Find us on Twitter and tweet at us. We'd love to just hear your comments no matter what. We've loved communicating with the folks who have subscribed and joined our community. We're going to be doing more with you with some subscriber shout outs, but we love nothing more than communicating with you there. And we're inviting people to be a part of the show. So let's connect. Love to do it. Thanks for joining us again today. We'll be back at it tomorrow. We'll see you then.